Hello and thank you for watching. This is STSC back again with LEGO Transformers Grimlock. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Wait a second, Grimlock is a T-Rex, not an excavator. And I can explain. This mock was built for the November 2021 Allspark Assembly. The Allspark Assembly is an event where a bunch of us LEGO Transformer builders get together, pick a theme, and all build a mock based off that theme. For this assembly, the theme we picked was alt mode swap, which means that everyone built existing characters in new alt modes. And I decided to build a Grimlock that turns into an excavator. If you're familiar with the first Robots in Disguise cartoon, you'll know that there actually was a excavator Grimlock in that series. Of course, he was Grimlock in name only. He didn't actually look like G1 Grimlock, and he didn't have Grimlock's personality. But since that outlier Grimlock existed, I always thought it would be interesting to see how the more traditional Grimlock design would look if it transformed into an excavator. So I took that on as my project for this assembly. In the description below, you'll find a list of links to every other build for this assembly. They're all awesome builds by highly talented builders, and I highly recommend that you check them out. But now that we've got that baggage out of the way, let's take a look at the excavator. One of my favorite things about this mode is the color distribution. All of Grimlock's yellow ends up on the body of the excavator, so it looks like the traditional yellow construction vehicle. Obviously, you'll notice he doesn't have real treads. This would be representative of the treads here, the dark gray, whereas the light gray would be some kind of plating over the top of the tread, which really you don't see on excavators that much, but it's just how it worked out. It was that or having Grimlock's entire legs be dark gray, which I don't think would look very good. You'll also notice in the back he has an array of 4 gigantic smokestacks, which personally I really enjoy. It gives him this kind of cartoony, extreme industrial feel, and it just looks really interesting to me. Probably my least favorite part of this build is this section right here. I think you can probably guess what this black blob is, and I really wish I was able to hide it better. Also, due to some unfortunate shoulder placement, the excavator ends up looking a little bit thick. The excavator arm has 3 points of articulation, a hinge at the base, a hinge at the center, and a hinge at the shovel, so you can get a pretty good range of movement for all your digging needs. For size comparison, here we have Grimlock with a minifigure, and with Dino. That's all I have to say about this mode, so now it's time to transform. And here we have Grimlock in his robot mode. And I have to say, I'm really happy with it. My goal was that in robot mode, you wouldn't be able to tell he turned into something different, and I think I succeeded. There are some small details that stand out, like the smokestacks on his forearms or the dark gray on the insides of his legs. And there are some details missing, like his wings. But otherwise, I think I got it pretty darn close to what he's supposed to look like. I also like how all the red is concealed in his excavator mode. So he goes from pretty generic construction vehicle colors to unmistakably Grimlock. Turning him around to look at the backpack, you'll see that the scoop of the excavator kind of mimics the T-Rex's head. And like I mentioned before, he obviously doesn't have the wings. Though honestly, I don't really miss their presence, considering they just free up arm movement and make him a little less kibbly. For size comparison, here we have Grimlock with a minifigure. And with Dino. For articulation, Grimlock has a universal joint at the neck, so he can look left and right and up and down. Then at the shoulder, he has another universal joint that has about this much range outwards and can go forward and backward freely. Then at the elbow, he has another universal joint, which gets a little under 90 degrees and can swivel, but once it's swiveled, it can get the full 90. And then at the wrist, he's got a pivot in 2 axes. From the waist down, Grimlock has a ab crunch, a waist swivel, universal hips, and a 90-degree knee, along with a under-the-knee swivel. Unfortunately, due to the hinge placement here, he has to stand at an A stance, since obviously the outside edge of his feet is lower than the inside edge, so you kind of have to keep his feet slanted like this, and it can make posing him a little bit tricky. Unfortunately, the awkward placement of his knee joint and his uneven feet do make posing him a bit difficult, so you're not going to get him into too many crazy poses. And that's all I have to say about Grimlock, so don't forget to check the description and look at the other Allspark Assembly mocks, and I'll see you next time.